61. 64. 66. 69. 71. 64. 76. 79. 81.
17.
84. 86.
Green. Round 17. 89. 91. 94. 96. 98. 101. 104. 9. 107. 16.
109.
17.
111.
24. 25.
115.
25.
115. 1 2. $120. 122.
125.
27. 130. 32.
Good morning, world. We're currently watching the Oceania Billiard final
5.
being held in Auckland at Snooker World, the home of Billiards and Snooker in Auckland. With me is David Judd from the Hawke's Bay. David is more into snooker than the billiards. He does coaching and plus he's a very good player. But right now as we're watching, just for the people that may have missed the start, Joe started with a double balk and was able to make a score of 26. Matt's come to the table and he's now on 145 unfinished. It is fair to say that these two players have been the best two players in the tournament in this Billiard Oceanias, and as you can see now the reason why. Matthew's had some sensational breaks. He's actually had 18 breaks over a century, with the highest being 354. He's also had a 303, 226, a 224, 215, and Joe Minici himself's had a 213. Joe's had 7 centuries, and there's only 4 other players have got centuries in this tournament. Currently they're playing this on a Shender table, and we've had nothing but wonderful comments on this particular table. It's 2-inch slate, and it's very good for Shender to sponsor this table for the final.
158.
And Matthew here, as you can see, just making this game look so easy. Just while we're watching this, some of the results that you may be interested in the quarters. It was a 2-hour quarters. Matthew Bolton beat Frank Humphries from Australia 282 to 294. Todd Hayward from Australia beat Ben Judd from Australia 533 to 270. Jason Colebrook beat 11 times New Zealand champion Gary Oliver 439 to 422. That was a sensational match as Gary led all the way and Jason got a break in the 20s at the finish to win it. And Joe Minici was far too good for Wayne Carey, beating him 574 to 332. First trip of the table, Joe got a 101, and that's sort of, he just carried on in that vein. In the semi-finals, Matthew Bolton started to hit the straps that we know he's very capable of. Matthew Bolton beat Todd Hayward 1711 to 487. Todd Hayward is also from Australia. It was actually all Australia semi-finals as well. Jason Colebrook lost to Joe Minici 801 to 650. So that's where we are at present. At the current time too, we're playing the under 21 snooker here, and that's an absolute delight. These young men, beautifully dressed, beautifully behaved. I've even had some of the ladies saying that when they go to come up the stairs, the young fellas see them, they step aside and let the ladies up first. The youngest one I think is about 14, and the oldest is turning 21 this year. The outstanding player in the under 21s currently would be Ryan Tomlinson from Australia. He's had at least 370 breaks, a 69, a 63, 60, 51, 48 and 40. Another Australian, Jamie White's had one break over 50. Mickey Stewart, New Zealand's had a 49. And Adam Lilly's had a 48 and a 40. Des Wilcox has had a 40 plus. And we've got some other young players coming through. But currently, while we're watching this sensational break in the snooker, Lewis Chan is playing Mickey Stewart in the under-21s. These are on other tables, and Ryan Thomason is playing Jamie White. So we have 2 New Zealanders on one side of the draw, 2 Australians on the other side. So that will cement an Australia-New Zealand final. I have with me David Judd for Hawke's Bay, and David also does a little bit of coaching these young fellas and knows quite a bit about them. But David, have you watched much of the Billiards this week?
I arrived here yesterday. Good morning, everybody. I arrived here yesterday afternoon and I got to see the semi-finals, and of course I've watched Matthew Bolton before and several other Australian players as well. And Matthew was very dominant. He was very dominant last year at the Oceania Champs, which were in Albury, and the pleasure of watching his semi-final and his final over there as well. And to tell you the truth, much the same. It's just that he is so top of the table person that he just never lets go. He's very meticulous on what he's doing. I have played the game of billiards before myself, but never competitively. I learnt the game of billiards through my granddad many years ago before I learned to play snooker. But as I've got older and starting to watch the billiards and seeing how it's all put together again, it's something that I wouldn't mind taking up again and playing the gentleman's game, as they call it. Of course, I've got one of New Zealand's best sitting next to me in that, so some questions and some coaching along the way might help to revisit the game again.
Matthew just broke down on, mate, I just can't quite make that out. Is that 211 or 201 that he got? 201, thank you. Yeah,
201.
201,
So that'll be his,
his
19th century. And how many doubles has he got now? Well, he's got 2 triples. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that'll be his 4th double.
Fourth double, yes.
4th double century.
Joe Minici's currently at the table now. Joe Minici himself is a multi-Oceania snooker and billiard champion.
And that's before Matthew Bolton came along, obviously, and
Yes,
changed
yeah.
the game and, upskilled the game and made it his own, so to speak.
To be serious, Joe has mixed snooker too much with his billiards. He is on his day could be an equal to Matthew. But obviously these guys are mixing a lot of snooker now with the billiards. But he's currently at the table now. Just watch what he does. By the way, he's just a lovely, lovely fellow.
I remember Joe here at the 147 snooker we had here a couple of years ago. That was televised on TV. Joe was one of the 8 players here as well. So it was 4 Australians, 4 New Zealanders. Ended up being a all Australian final in that 147, didn't it?
I think it did.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, those are the lovely
little
touches I was
touch.
talking about, Joe. Oh, I think he'd be a bit annoyed with that shot. He was trying to turn the yellow back. Matthew is actually current world number 4. Just see what he does here.
Oh.
Now, although he missed it, you could see some of the genius in the sky. Yeah. Matthew's actually current world number 4. Joe does not have a world ranking. He has not played in any of the ranking tournaments, which is one of the problems that the New Zealanders and the Australians have. If they can only get into some of these tournaments, they would get more world ranking chances.
As you can see, Wayne, and of course, when I last played billiards, was that we used to have a one clear white ball, and of course we had one white ball with a dot through it, a black dot either side through it. As the balls have changed throughout the years, this was the first I saw of it last year when I was at Oceania, that the yellow ball was introduced with the red dots, and of course you got the white ball with the red dots. Could you please explain, Wayne, what the object or the situation of changing the balls now to these colours, and is it for TV purposes, or is it just for the players to determine whose ball is who?
Yes. Well, obviously it's for TV. But the other side of the coin is that when we watch these professionals now playing us amateurs, we can actually be able to see what they're doing. And because the spin on the ball tells you what they're doing, what side they're putting on, etc. Also, when you practice with the spotted balls, you can actually see that you're not cueing well, because you will see the spots will tell you that you're not hitting the ball in the middle and all the other things. In my very humble opinion, and that this comment won't be welcomed by the snooker people, but in my opinion, the sooner they get the white snooker ball spotted on TV, the better. We're going to be able to watch what these professionals are doing. I do think it'll be a changing thing where, first of all, they'll grumble like anything, but don't remember that the billiard guys do, every time we do something different with the billiard gentlemen, they grumble as well. They just, because before they come to the spotted balls, we went to yellow and white instead of the 2 whites and a red, and it just becomes, it would be great to watch on TV. Well, snooker's made for TV anyway, but it would be great to be able to see what these gentlemen are doing with their white, what side they're putting on it. Just another comment too. With billiards, all the balls have got to weigh unbelievably close to each other's weight. Whereas in snooker there could be 4 grams of difference between all the reds and all the colours. In other words, 139 to say 143 weight. But in billiards, you want all the balls the same. Just for the listeners here, the red does weigh. I weighed these balls myself before we put them on the table. The red does weigh 142 grams. The yellow weighs 142 grams. And believe it or not, the white weighs 142 grams. Joe was a bit unlucky there. He lost the opponent's white, so he played the safety shot. And Matthews replied with 1.
So Matthew's sitting on 201, Joe is on 49.
No, is that 40 or is that 70 something? That's a nice shot. Bad luck, Matt.
74. Joe's on 74, Matthew on 201.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Maybe for the listeners that might be first-time viewers here, Wayne has explained some. I've heard losing hazards, what losing hazard means, what that how many times you're allowed the red on the spot on the spot. This just the general rules and regs of the game.
Sure, there It's not as hard as it all sounds. They've given these names out that sometimes are hard for new people to sort of pick up. And as the players play, we will try and give you some of the things that are happening, because obviously when you talk about the game and the rules and that, they don't all pop up at once, or you can't remember saying them all at once.
Well, he's just played a shot there where he went in off, and
Yes.
he, with his own ball, being the yellow spotted ball,
Yes,
and the red went into the corner, so it was like a double.
that's right.
How
Well,
many points is that worth?
That's worth 6 points. Well, every time you put the red, it's worth 3 points. So if you're going off the red, well, that's another thing I should mention too. Each player has designated a ball at the start of the game. They do string off, and the winner picks the colour he wants. So Matthew's picked the yellow to play with, and Joe's got the white. So Matthew has the yellow for the whole game.
Ooh.
So when he puts the red with his yellow, it's 3 points. If he goes off the red with the yellow, it's 3 points. If he goes in off the white, it is 2 points. If his ball hits both balls, the red and the yellow, just like that, he gets 2 points. It's a cannon.
So if he hits the red first and then the opponent's ball, it's obviously still a cannon, but what's the point value there then? Still two.
Yeah.
No
Any cannon.
Any
It doesn't
cannon.
matter which ball your cue ball hits first, it
Yes.
becomes a cannon.
Right. And it's
And
worth 2.
then, yeah, so as the game actually unfolds here, I can give you more of the... Clearly he's going for the pot here, and maybe the cannon at the same time. No, he's tried to set in off the white, which is very well done. So that's 3 points as part of the red.
Now it looks like he's got choices here. He could play he's going to play an in off here off the red,
Yes, he will
which
hit
is
this
quite a
very,
standard
very-
half ball one, isn't it?
No, this is not. This is very hard on top half ball. Very hard.
Yeah, he played the spin on it with the top, forced it into the pocket. Yep.
So he'd be pretty pleased with that, provided it doesn't run into balk, and it doesn't look like it has.
So in other words, if the red had gone over the balk line, he can't shoot
He
backwards.
can't. No.
No.
He can't, and that's why he's trying to get the white out of balk now. You can play, if you're in play, you can play the white ball at present.
He can play the white. He can play
He
the
can
opponent's
play.
ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if it looks like what's he doing here? He's setting himself in position for an in off the white. So now he can bring, that was worth 3 points. He can now go in off the white here to bring it out over the balk line. And that's worth 2 points. And now
You can see what he's trying to do is try and get both balls down by the spot,
He will.
and
He
go
will.
through his routine there, as I've seen for the last couple of days of him.
he will
around that
set
spot.
this up for a drop cannon. He'll go in off the white and bring the white off the cushion, and now he's got the drop cannon for the red, and hopefully bring them all together.
So
He
he'll
may
play the
be
in
a
off
little bit
here.
wide here. It looks to
Yeah.
be interesting. He would be hitting his yellow here at about 7 o'clock. You had to get it over there. You
Okay.
see the ball spinning. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See how the ball tells you what he's doing?
So he's only taken 3 shots basically to get where he wants the balls. And he'll
Sure.
go into this routine now. He'll play top of the table for the next hour.
That's right.
So this is where he's very dominant, very strong, as I had seen
Yes.
yesterday with the 300 break plus that he got and a couple of hundreds yesterday, and what he got this morning in this final of 200. It's just
You
come
may
into
be
play.
interested to know that Matthew Bolton, he plays with a custom-made tiling cue. It weighs 17.8 grams. His highest break in the game is 831, but he has had 736 in the Australian Championships last year. He's also had a 765.
Incidentally, that 831 came at last year's Oceanias in the semi-finals,
It was it? Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
and
Well,
he set the benchmark in section play, or what we call round robin over there, and he set the benchmark at 434 or 431 during round robin. So he was there. He was there to be to come to win.
Well, yes, that's right. And he would have had, I would say, at least 25 breaks over 500 in competition. I did ask him what his highest break was in breaks, and he just says, wouldn't know, I don't count. So when he practices his mum and dad's place, by the way, and he makes a comment that his favourite food is just simply the old Australian barbecue. He likes his barbecues. He is married, has a little son. And by the way, we're watching top of the table here for everybody. And now this looks unbelievably easy. Trust me, it is really frustrating when your skills aren't up to this. You just get smothers all the time. He's currently on, is that 43? Might be 46. He's currently on 46 at present, so he's just going to break the 50 mark now. Well, that's the other one of the points too. You only allow 2 pots off the black spot. They've changed the rules slightly because players used to just pot blacks off the black spot, reds off the black spot. So you only allowed 2 at any one stage, and if you do pot, the second red goes up onto the blue spot.
So this is why he's not purposely potting
a red,
because he's keeping it on the black spot all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you see what he's doing here. It's just becoming a repetitive top of the table cannon pot
Such high
position.
skill.
Such high skill. Touch.
Such high skill.
Very good touch on all 3 balls.
See how he sent that white back to near the
Yep. He's keeping that white off the cushion, so it's just a bounce off the cushion.
We've
Comes
Matthew.
another cannon.
We were hoping that Matthew would get his 1,000 break here. We actually went and saw the TAB and we tried to get odds. They first up saying, look, they hadn't watched enough of it. Carl Jackson from the TAB said, look, we just haven't watched enough of it. But we're holding the New Zealand Open down in Hamilton. We're actually holding forward ranking tournaments in September. And the TAB is going to take bets on that. So that's a plus, of course. But we were hoping he would get his first 1,000 break here. There is currently 3 people living with 1,000 breaks. Gessetti. Oh, he'd be disappointed with that.
Oh,
Yeah,
he miss.
No, he just missed a... no, he will be disappointed with that. Well, as a commentator, of course, you don't want to commentate every shot because you just see them going in. Just see what Joe does here. Looks like Joe's manoeuvred the yellow into an in-off position. Yes, there's 3 people with 1,000 breaks under the current rules. Gessetti. Oh, Joe, he'd be very disappointed with that.
He didn't want to pot that though, did he?
No, he was hoping to bring it out off 2 cushions.
So is that if you pot your opponent's ball, is that what they class as a losing hazard?
No, that's a winning hazard. All pots are winning hazards. But see this? Gee. But the good thing about that, he can now manoeuvre his red. He was playing for, obviously, a 2-cushion cannon there. But when you put a ball into a corner, at least you've only got to aim for your ball to get in that corner and hope that you get nil. He looks like he's trying to put this in the bottom to screw back to going off the red, yellow next.
So what they class as a losing hazard then, Wayne?
Losing hazard's an in-off. That's a nice shot, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a... That there was a winning hazard. Winning hazard's a pot. And this will be an in-off. And that's your losing hazard.
How many losing hazards are you allowed in a
You're only allowed 15 hazards, that's winning or losing, in a row, and you're given a warning on 10.
Yes.
So after you've had 10 pots or 10 in-offs in a row, the referee says hazard warning, you're only allowed 5 more before you must get a cannon.
Ah, yes. Yep.
These are the...
So a cannon must come into play before 15.
Sure. You're just getting back to Gessetti, I think it was a 12.58 some years ago. And Mike Russell's had 11.37 points. By the way, Mike Russell is considered by, in the billiard world as the king. He a sensational player. We're hoping to have him here at the New Zealand Open along with the other 1,000 break player, Peter Gilchrist. Peter Gilchrist currently holds the world record at 1,346, which you got in Hamilton, by the way. You got in Hamilton down there in New Zealand. And he also had 1,000 break that he got, I think it was January, February of last year in the Irish Open. He got 1,000 break dead. So he's the only man living with 2,000 breaks. For those watching that was a 4-shot. That was potting the white for 2 points. The cannons with 2 points. That was worth 4 points in total. You'll put the reds into ball here for safety. Well, actually, he's tried to put both, and he's paid the price for trying to put both.
Yes, I think from last year at the World Champs, when they had them in England, Matthew Bolton entered that, got through to the quarter-finals, I believed. He came up against Pete Gilchrist, but the other player that we that mentioned is, and I don't know how many, I need to find some info on this, but Pankaj Avani from India won the World Billiards title last year, and then basically 3 weeks later he won the...
Okay, it's just at the World Championships, to clarify that.
Yeah,
there's two World Championships. By the way, that was a good starter. 2 World Championships they play. They play what's called the 150 up. So what they play is it's like frames. They don't like using the word frames, but they play games of 150 up, and it might be the best of 5, best of 7, best of 11. And they also play what's called the time event. The time event is situated where it can be 2 hours, 3 hours, and a clock set, and when the clock rings, that's whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, Pankaj Avani last year won both.
Yeah, that's what I just
what I'm saying. It was virtually, they play them back to back. In other words, they play the 150 up first, and the next day they start the 120 up.
I was trying to get to the point where he was there was the media, and it was trying to so much media around him to try and win all 3. So there was the timed event and the 150, plus winning the IBSF World Snooker Championships. Unfortunately, he fell a bit short in the quarterfinals over in India, but he was certainly the favourite to win that title. And be the first player to do all 3 in 1 year. Would have been nice, but to win the 2 billiards is an achievement on its own.
The Indians are very good at cue sport. Strange to say, Australia is very good as well. In New Zealand here, I don't know if it's because we don't have the numbers. I honestly don't know the reason.
The Billiards was a very popular
sport. That's a great shot.
Billiards was huge here in New Zealand some years ago, wasn't it?
It was, of course, because we had obviously Clark McConaughey, who I think his highest break was in the 4,000s. There were different eras, of course, different times, different balls, but you still had to be good enough. For those that do want to be impressed, the highest break in billiards since the game started is over 499,000. That's the reason why they had to change the rules. It obviously got very repetitious, and players were... The gentleman that he played waited 3 weeks for a shot. They played 2 2-hour sessions a day. So that'll give you an idea of yesteryear's great players.
I'd say a lot of nursery cannons came into play there.
Nursery cannons, well, that's right. And of course, nursery cannons in those days, Walter Lindrum took nursery cannons again for the listeners. It's very hard to, not hard to explain, but they get the balls and they just keep getting cannons and they take them along the cushion. And Walter Lindrum took them around the table 2 1/4 times, nursery cannons. Now, while it alone sounds pretty good, think about it. He also had to get them past the pockets. When he got them into the corner of the pockets, he had to turn them and take them up the rails again. It's incredible, and obviously this is why a lot of the rules were changed.
So is a nursery cannon classed as a losing or a winning?
No, it's just a cannon.
Yep.
It's simply, they call it nurseries because they're close together on the cushions, and they're not played a lot today. You are allowed 75 in a row. You're allowed 75 cannons in a row today, which is still 150 points. But it's much easier for the best players to play this type of thing. People may run a rail of 10 nurseries in a row, but not many more in today's world.
Matthew 22.
Yeah, Matthew, got to slide off. These, for those who are watching too, this is 6 to 8 11 cloth, 6 8 11, 30-ounce billiard cloth, and it is very, very nice. See, he's playing left-handed here, Joe. That's a more clever shot than look too, because he's now able to. Oh no, it's gone a bit wide for the next cannon. He may stun across with the cannon, try and bring the red around the cushions. He's missed the cannon, but he may get. No, he hasn't.
Joe 2.
Now, if obviously Matt's going to try and run through and off here, but if he was to pot the white stays down. It doesn't come back up again until he finishes his break. So for the listeners watching, that's worth 2 points. What we'll do here, we'll actually call a score for you, so that you get a bit of a feel of the points ratio. So that and off was worth 2. Tell you now, that's a big surprise. They're obviously trying to control the red to the middle pocket. Yeah, well, you can see there that Matthew's just standing there wondering what happened. That's an off, a losing hazard. That's worth 3 points.
Looks like another off coming up here as
He
well
will
to try and
do.
get
We
the red down to.
No, he'll bring it back up for another magic circle. We call this magic circle play. There's sort of an imaginary circle where that red is now that covers both the middle pockets. And he's a top of the table player, so he's just that and off was worth 3 points, so it's worth 6. And these guys are just starting to get used to the table. They'll both be very frustrated by this. But it's the way it is. Probably a bit of nerves, I would imagine. There you go.
He's very frustrated with that
Matthew's
shot.
very impressed with his shot.
Yes. I think where Matthew is, he wants to build a sizable lead,
Yes, he does.
and get so far in front that it'll be difficult for Joe to try and catch him in the time that is allocated. But in saying the same respect is that Joe is playing catch up a little bit here and missing.
David, make no mistake, Joe has a wonderful reputation.
Yeah.
And of course, Matthew knows that. And you're dead right, Matthew would be trying to build a sizable lead so that just puts a bit more pressure on Joseph.
So we've got 2 2-hour sessions, totaling 4 hours.
Yes, we have.
Question for you, Wayne, here is that how do you keep, if you're at the table and you're making a sizable break, anything from 200-300 plus, that sort of thing, especially in Matthew's capability and Joe's, but how do they keep the mental toughness? How do they keep themselves focused for being, they could be at the table for an hour.
They can be.
So where the mental toughness or the concentration, the focus of, how do they do it?
See that slide. There's all sorts of theories. Everyone's different. A person's like a dashboard in a car. You pull one wire out and everything's different. And the same thing with a person. It comes down to the top 4 inches. It really comes down to, we're just watching this ball, and yes, he's somehow got to keep this ball out. It comes down to a lot of things, and each individual, what you explain to one individual won't work for the next one. So they would obviously, when they practice, they're practicing for hours at a time. Clark McConaughey made the comment that total concentration for any one person is 15 minutes. So when they've got a sort of an open shot, obviously the concentration wouldn't be as heavy. But when they're getting down to potting, the concentration is very severe. Danik Lucas, one of the geniuses of the game in Australia, he's not playing enough, unfortunately, because just the way it is with work pressures, etc. But he says that you need 7 seconds. When you do a pot, you need 7 seconds of concentration. You glare at that shot for 7 seconds. Matthew's got his cannon there. I was going to give the score of each shot, wasn't I? So
he's got 2 now.
He's got 2, but he did a searcher. What you do when you do a searcher like that, you're just hoping that something will work. Isn't it?
There's 4.
But you notice where this is no fluke. So he's bringing the red to the white again.
So will he play the in off here, or
Well,
would he play a cannon?
There's cannon. I'd say you play the in off, set the red up, and so he can get it off the white at some stage.
Okay, bring it over the middle bag.
Yeah.
Playing it off the middle bag, another
That's right. So
cannon.
That's right. So is that 7? I think it's 7 so far.
Yep, 7.
So he's now trying to work out when he needs to screw back. On these lovely Shender tables, the pockets will swallow. But if you're not good enough, they won't. Look at that. That's a lovely shot. That's a lovely shot, Matthew.
So he's on 10. That's 12. Now he's brought his opponent's ball back down too, and he's going to work his way into doing his top of the table.
I would say he's going to go in off the white and try and bring it inside the red, out through the other side for the drop cannon next.
He's on 14.
No, he's got the kiss.
He's
He's got the
14.
kiss. But the beauty of this game, when you do get it wrong, you do have a rescue shot. And there's a rescue shot coming.
17.
This is a little bit ugly for him. You're going to do a forcing screw shot across to the white and send the red all around the table to bring it back down to the top again. I don't know what he will. Yeah, when you stand behind the ball, it's different.
Is he?
Oh, it looks like he's trying it in off. Oh, that's a lovely shot. Clever shot. So now he'll
That's
go in off the white and bring
19.
that white to the red.
19. Yep. So we're up to 21.
21.
Another little cannon coming up here, Wayne.
Yes, it will be. I'm just wondering. He's trying to get the white to the bottom.
Just
That's
trying-
clever.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a clever shot.
23.
He'd be a bit annoyed that the red's not over the pocket. But he'll go and... Oh, no, he might play the cannon here. Yes, he is. Yeah.
Matthew 23.
He's getting frustrated too. He's trying to hold the red and hoping the slide of the cushion would help him more.
So how will Joe be now there? And Matthew's in his 30s, isn't he?
Yes,
Joe, what
Joe,
would Joe would be now?
it's a funny thing, ages I never really asked. I would say that he might be in his 50s. I honestly don't know, but he's got a huge amount of experience. Now see that he took 2 reds off the black spot, and the red is now put back. The 3rd red is put back on the blue spot. And that's a very nice shot, very clever
Played
shot. Oh, no,
quite a
he'd be
bit.
disappointed with
Played
that.
quite a bit of right hand side to hold the
But
white
red
to
was
go
supposed to
straight
be out of
line.
the middle pocket, that's all. Yeah. Be disappointed with that. It's a good recovery. For those who are watching, this is Neil Guide's actually the current referee of this game. Neil's a Wellingtonian, loves the game of billiards himself, and does play quite nicely. Joe looks like he's going in off here. See the spin of the ball? This is great for the viewers. He was hoping the spin of the ball would grab the jaws and pot it in, but it didn't happen.
Well, on these Shenda tables with World Cup templates, you have to be very accurate. I've noticed, like with these Shenda tables, that the ball goes into the jaws. It doesn't sit in the jaws. It actually knocks away from the jaw, whether you're playing billiards or snooker. I've noticed that the centre pockets, the knuckles from the cushions and that, given the template cut and that, very deceiving, very, very deceiving on your potting angle to pot a ball into the centre bag, because if you just clip that near jaw, she will not go in.
Matthew's trying to play the jaw first here and get him behind the white, just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Nice shot. So that's worth 2 points.
And of course, ball comes back up for him.
And that's the beauty. That's another thing too. People probably don't realise in billiards. You've actually got, when you're going off, you've got the whole D to work, and you can put your ball anywhere in the D to make sure you're going for the cannon here. Just the sliders beating both these players at present. But they'll get used to it. They're here for 4 hours. 2-hour session, then there'll be a lunch break of an hour and a half. And then there'll be the second session. Joe, by the way, plays with an Imperial cue. It's 18 ounces. It's quite short. It's 55 inches long.
He's not a very tall person, is he?
No,
Wade?
he's not. No. But really appreciate. This guy's really appreciated around the world. He's just great for the game of cue sport. He would help anybody. He's the type of guy, when he's come up to me and we're playing, and he said, "Look, I saw you play this shot. Can I suggest?" And he shows you a better way to play it.
I think that's great that players can share knowledge with one another and pass on experience.
Sure.
And we need that for our juniors here in New Zealand and Australia. Is that the older generation or the experienced generation that have been there, done that.
You see how Joe's put that yellow straight down at the bottom of the table? See that? That's very pretty. And now he puts the red, hopefully, and he's got top of the table.
So he brings bring his own cue ball down to into the situation.
Sort of opposite the pink spot, sort of thing here with the cushion. He's gone past the pink spot, but as you can see, he's still okay. That's lovely. Now Joe's at top of the table. Use check side on that to stop it from bouncing too hard off the cushion.
And where to score is heavily is at the top of the table, isn't it, Wayne?
This
is where you can dominate.
Yeah. In New Zealand, we
overtake.
mainly play the open game. Gary Oliver does play top of the table, and he's probably the best of New Zealand now. But we had a player called Dave Meredith and another one called Brian Kirks. Unfortunately, Brian Kirks passed away now. But Dave Meredith is still really the yardstick, and even though he's retired, Dave Meredith is still really the yardstick for New Zealand players in New Zealand for his top of the table play. He really did grasp it. He could play it just like this, actually. This is called postman's knock. See how the white just rat-a-tatted onto the yellow? Honestly, anyone watching this, you think this is easy? Please go and grab a cue and try this. This is unbelievably tricky.
Total ball control.
It is, and it's so rewarding. Because the other thing about this game too is when you go home at night, no spinal injuries, there's no concussion. Well, make no mistake, you're still hurting because you're lost. But yeah,
It's pot, cannon, pot, cannon, pot, cannon.
sometimes it's 2 pots in a row. See, there was one then, but only one off the black spot. See, we just pinged that white. He nearly lost the red, actually. He just pinged it to give that extra 2 inches higher for the next shot.
The question I'd like to ask you there, Wayne, is that with playing billiards with all these many years in that, does it actually help your game of snooker? And I can see probably where your break building might come into play here, of your cannons and stuff like that, but your touch play around the black spot. I know with snooker and that we've got to play, we've got to hit the balls maybe a little bit more firmer. The stun shots, you don't see so many stun shots, screwbacks or anything in this game. This game provides a lot of side and a lot of run-throughs and that sort of thing. So with the game of billiards, does it help playing the game of snooker?
Honestly, all the great players have ever played snooker have played billiards. We all know about Steve Davis. Steve Davis, when in the prime of his career, it wasn't happening like it should be for him, and his coach got him to go away and play billiards for a week. The difference, there's lots and lots of differences. It's a bit like squash and tennis. While it's still holding a racket, or badminton, while you're still holding a racket, you're still, it's very similar, but it is different. With billiards, we're more inclined to stroke the ball. Have a look at this shot.
Beautiful.
Isn't it? Isn't that a lovely shot? Oh, take a bow.
Just a touch screwback, didn't pop the red, made a nice cannon.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This Joe Minici, he's got a huge reputation, make no mistake. But whereas in billiards we're more inclined to stroke a ball, we're more inclined to caress it. Yeah, we stun it. And we do, and we probably use side a lot more than you do in snooker. But in answering your question, I'm just watching this shot here. Gee, they're just not getting it. Yeah, answering your question, yes, it's all the great players have played billiards first. Well, in yesteryear, the great players played billiards first to get a feel of how all the cushions respond and to know the angles. Does anyone have any results?
Yeah, I was just asking
21?
about, just seeing if anybody... Sorry? We have one result in the semi-final of the under-21s Oceania. Louis Chan from Auckland is in the final. He beat Mikey Stewart, also from, ex-Hawke's Bay, but now playing under the Auckland banner. Louis Chan went on and beat Mikey 5-0. Just waiting on another results between Jamie White and Ryan Thomason, and like Wayne, and it's good to see that we have a Kiwi in the final, and there'll be an Australian in the final yet to be determined, but it should be a good one, no matter who of the two Australians it is, but it will be a very good final, and I believe that final will be the best of 11, and that is due to be kicked off around about 5-2. I've just been informed 5-2 to Ryan Thomason.
19.
So your final for the Oceania under 21s snooker will be between, from New Zealand, Lewis Chan, and from Australia, Ryan Thomason, which incidentally his dad Paul Thomason is the national coach for Australia, going around coaching snooker players, especially the under 21s, and from what I understand we had a test series on Tuesday between New Zealand and Australia. They started this last year. There's a beautiful trophy that was up for grabs.
The under 21s?
The under 21s, yes, and they call it the Academy Test Team. Of course they put 4 of the best from Australia for under 21s and 4 of the best from New Zealand. And of course Australia had the trophy last year, and they still have the trophy after beating New Zealand in a very close fought snooker matches. First they started off with 6 reds, and then they had the Scotch pairs, and then they finished with the singles, and of course Australia came out on top with a 6-4 result, but a lot closer than what it was last year. It wasn't really all one-way traffic this year. The New Zealand team was made up of Des Wilcox, Ryan King, Adam Liley, and young Mario Hildred, who was the youngest member. His game has come on very well. And with the Australian team was Ryan Thomason, Kyle Renton, and just trying to find out the other two names there. It's just in the program here. You go for it, Wayne. I'll just go and look for my information.
Just as you saw there, Matthew just missed an ugly pot. Did you see that white ball spinning? Magnificent. For people watching this, see where he's put the yellow. Now the yellow is going to be workable anytime he gets the red wrong here. He's potted the red left at in that angle. We call this a 369 shot, and he will simply send the red up to the middle pocket. And not in the D. He may want to work the yellow first here. He may be able to put the yellow behind the black spot. No, he hasn't. He's decided to bring it up the table. 15. And what do you do here? I would immediately put the red down by the black spot so he can play the drop cannon next.
So the current score at the moment that we can just is Matthew is on 378. While Joe Minici is at the table and is on 192 and counting. He's just made another beautiful cannon there to bring both balls, the opponent's ball and the red ball, down to the spot end of the table and start off with his pot cannons scenarios. Something I have noticed here is the billiard players don't use the rest very often. They try not to use a rest at all, unless they're in a situation like as you can see on screen now.
He would be concentrating more on the red here, setting the red up towards the left hand pocket. I would imagine.
This would be an in-off or a cannon?
No, he'd be playing a cannon here, setting the red up. Oh, he'd be disappointed with that. He may get away with this. The yellow may sit there for an in-off, and it looks like it will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the sort of thing I talk about with billiards. We can get one shot wrong, but the other shot lets us back in again, or another opening. Oh, he'd be disappointed with that. He's got one on one side of the table and one on the other, and that's not desirable. He's on 22 at present. It's a lovely pot. Yeah, they're both having trouble controlling this table at present because that's just come up too far for an easy natural half ball and off. You might just have to use quite a bit of side on this and use a bit of force bringing it out of the D. Yes, he has.
But he's played it with enough pace, so he sends the red up and down the table.
And he's got the drop cannon.
And he's got the drop cannon.
And the balls will be pretty close together, and hopefully he's away again. There's only 40 odd minutes left to go in this session too.
Really, that's gone really quick, isn't it?
It does. When you're playing, you can't believe how quick it goes.
Are you conscious of the time, or are you just time's not a factor if you're at the table?
No, it's always a factor.
Okay.
It's always a factor, but you really, if it's a close game, with a half an hour to go, when you come to the table and you get a starter, you have to make the best of it.
Mm-hmm. So is there any penalties for slow play? Do you find slow play in billiards, or is it just
Yeah, very
you know, very
contentious,
tactical, or
very contentious. Very. The referee can warn the player that he's playing too slow. It's one of those tricky things where, look at that.
paper
Yeah.
cut.
And
Paper
it looks to
cutness.
me like he's left a natural half ball off the white too from Matthew. You know, it's one of those ones that's ugly because you can't be rushed at times. Because you're playing on time, it could be suggested that you're slowing down because you're in front. That's the ugly bit. Whereas in snooker, you simply run out of balls. If a player takes a fairly long time to decide on a shot, it doesn't matter so much. But
The other thing too, Wayne, is you don't see a lot of safety play in billiards, do you?
No, you don't. But believe me, you can play it. It's there to be played. Yes, it's definitely there to be played. But you will have players sort of getting at it a lot quicker. Like, no matter where you put them, there is normally. So I've seen 5 cushion cannons played for, by the way. So he's setting up the drop cannon here. There was a magic circle shot. And Matt will now bring the white to meet the red.
Eight.
So Matthew's at the table.
Yes.
He'll probably want to try and dominate for the next 5-10 minutes, increase his lead. And it's very close at the it's Joe had caught up. If we can have a look at that score, you're only talking 150 odd in difference in points. Joe has come back quite considerably there in 2 visits there at one stage. Now Matthew's back at the table.
16.
He's obviously had that time off the table, you know, to think about what he was doing, or concentration, a lack of concentration. Now he's back at the table, he's fresh, and
22.
You'll notice that on the pot he spends more time on a pot than he does with another shot, because they know that the pot is where they're going to go to in the next shot.
27.
This looks like he could do quite a big screw back here. Or he's going to do a run through. Looks like a run through actually. Yeah, it's a run through. Yep. But see the side, David? See the side he was using to bring that ball around?
he just let the cushion do the work there.
He did.
And for the pace of the ball. And this is what I was trying to explain to you before, Wayne, is that this top of the table stuff, working around the black spot in the game of snooker, and I've just seen some shots there, is just break building material in the 15 red game. Playing red black. That's why guys can get, professionals and players can get 147s, because it's all manoeuvred around the black spot.
Yes, it is.
And this is where I feel that maybe the game of billiards can help people, to improve their snooker. Good game.
That was a much better shot than it looked. He took quite a while to decide on how he's going to play that last shot. He's now just come up the horizontal line, or just over the horizontal line. I know you're going to... Just not sure what he's going to do here. It looks like he's going to screw back. Yeah, just gently. That is such a high skill. See how he's got inside the white there to manoeuvre them. It's, I was speaking to Matthew about, his practice there for this bit of tournament. He said he's only had 2 practices. He's been playing a lot of snooker. And there's nothing too, we've got to realise this is actually the start of the new season. We played this tournament early in the year. So, you get through Christmas with the family and everything, and then you endeavour look at that white being manoeuvred beautifully.
Yeah, well, he played the Dr. Clem Jones, the one in January,
Yes.
over in Queensland, and he won that.
Did he?
Yes.
That was snooker?
Snooker, yes. And, of course, as we know, Matthew is the current Australian billiards champion. He's the current Australian snooker champion. Last year he won 6 ranking events. He also won the Melbourne Open, which got him an entry as a wild card to the Australian Open, which is the first ranking event for the professional circuit on the snooker.
Is that the Goldfields?
That is the Goldfields, yes. And he was last year's runner-up in the Oceania to Steve Misford, who got the tour card ticket to play overseas. So Matthew was runner-up in that. So Matthew had a very, very good year. A very good year. But in saying that too, is that he's kicked off this year with a good year as well, by winning the first Australian ranking event. Now he's come to Oceania here, and of course he's got this billiard title on the go. And of course what's coming up later in the year that he could win. So both facets of the game that he plays, he's very good at. And a lot of hard work and dedication, and I suppose it's in the family too. It takes a bit of pride there as well, for having it in the family, carrying on the tradition.
That's right. Well, that's right. His dad's pretty good billiard player, I can tell you, and his mum apparently is pretty sporting. But his own wife, Bea, used to play snooker, or billiards around the world as well. So it's all, as you said, it's in the family. But see, it's just very nice indeed. I guess it's a good time to explain to people that in September, New Zealand's holding 4 world ranking tournaments over 17 days. Watch this little punch back. Yeah, that's clever. And we're holding 4 world ranking tournaments over 17 days. They're starting on the 11th to the 13th of September in Christchurch. And then all the players come to Auckland, starting on the Thursday. On the 24th and 24th, 25th, and the 20. I'm just watching this here, and I've got that all wrong. 17th they'll be playing in Auckland. 17th they'll be playing in Auckland. 17th, 18th, 19th. On the 20th they go down to Hamilton and they play in the Pacific, the Hamilton Pacific International, all world ranking tournaments. And then the big EBOS Major 5 is the New Zealand Open, which will be the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the final being on the 27th. Nothing worth mentioning here is that Sky Sport has already been to us with the contract for this, and our president Alan Parrish has signed a contract, and the 3-hour final of New Zealand Open will be live on the 27th of September this year. Remembering too, you can put bets on with the TAB, and we've been able to, they're now holding the NRL final on the following Sunday a week later in October. That's how important that this game is. Also another, they did Sky Sport did an hour of our New Zealand Open last year, and got a huge response. People loved it, and so that's why they've obviously realised that this is a sport played by a lot of New Zealanders, meaning Q sport in general. Just for those, I mean, we can give all sorts of statistics, but it's said that 800,000 people in New Zealand have held a Q, and it's one of the few sports when 2 players play each other, they're trying to win. For instance, if you get people jogging on the street, none of them go into racing on a Saturday, or a lot of them go into actual racing on a Saturday, they're just jogging to keep fit. But you get two gentlemen playing down in, say, the RSAs, and they're in their 70s or 80s, make no mistake, they're trying to beat each other. And that's the beauty of the sport. And the other thing too is you know you're going home for tea afterwards. You know there'll be no injuries. Sure, you'll be broken hearted because you lost or won.
Just interrupt you there, Wayne. I'm just having a look at the scoreboard. Matthew's just cracked in another century, and he's sitting on 130 and counting at the moment, and still at the table. So it looks like a big one here. with 39 minutes to go for the first 2-hour session. Matthew was obviously trying to build a sizable lead leading into the lunchtime break. I mean, the way Matthew's going here, he's playing top of the table stuff, cannon pot, and he could be at the table for the next 38 minutes, so to speak, and really
He really could.
dominate.
When Peter Gilchrist got that 1346 break in Hamilton, he played a gentleman called Ross Exley. Ross Exley scored 17, and then Peter Gilchrist stepped in, and we no one actually cooked the time. It's normally 5 or 6 minutes 100 break. So if you go 5 times 13, that's 65 minutes, isn't it?
5 times 13, yeah, 65.
65
yes.
minutes. So
Yep.
that's. But what the other people have really got to realise, after that he got another 300 break. So he had 4 shots in the 2 hours, and he averaged 426 points per shot, and that's sensational numbers. And again, really nice guy. You know, these guys you could take home to meet your mother. They dress lovely, they talk good, they know how to behave.
Just looking through the eyes there, and that with Matthew and that with that front-on shot, you know, just total concentration. Like nothing's bothering him at the moment. He's starting to find his rhythm. Cue action. But like Wayne said, don't underestimate Joe. He's a man. He's a man of old school, and anything can happen.
Matthew was obviously a hot favourite to win this, but Joe can definitely upset it. But isn't this lovely to watch? And I think the other big thing about billiards is that normally you in snooker, sometimes you set up, you have to take on a big pot, or lots of times actually. Whereas in snooker, you've got these little wee short little pots all the time because you've manoeuvred the red to the pocket. See, look at that touch. He's probably he's definitely within a foot of the red all the time here.
Just off the back of the cush and bump into the back of this opponent ball. Now when a foul is committed, Wayne, i.e. he's missed the ball, or is it that the balls, is there, what's the ruling on it normally? Is the balls get spotted again, or what's the story here?
Well, the player coming to the table has a couple of choices, of course. First of all, the foul creates a 2-point advantage for him, so he's straight away given 2 points for the foul.
Okay.
He then can play from where the balls lie, or he can have what's called a spot up. The opponent's ball goes on the blue spot, and his ball is played for the D, and the red goes on the bottom spot. There's lots of arguments on what you call these spots. I try and make it easy by calling it the black spot. It is argued that it is the wrong name. I think he's going to put this red. Look at that. That's a good shot. That was quite a tough red. And therefore, and then you play you play the long loser in off to the bottom bag, and you carry on from there.
So they don't have a foul and miss here, do they? In this,
Well, no, you have no foul and miss. Sorry, no foul and miss.
yeah, just a foul,
Yeah,
just called
yeah.
a foul.
Yes.
And it's a 2-point foul, 2-point penalty foul, is it?
2 points. Yes. See how he finished now. That's a good shot. See how he finished up high on that ball.
He's playing high a lot.
Yeah, and see how he's playing with. It looked to me to be sort of 5 o'clock on the yellow. Just looks so easy. But all the good players make things look easy, don't they?
Well, they say they got 10,000 hours to master the game of snooker. How many hours for billiards?
I don't think you ever totally master it because you can't believe some of the stuff you miss at times. You to get to this level, I would have no idea the hours and the time that Matthew's put into this.
Yeah.
But then again, don't forget, you can get people that can run, and they're okay, but then you get people that are like John Walker and Peter Snell. So first of all, you've not only got to have some skill, but you've got to be a little bit better. You've got to have something special.
Bit of passion, bit of driven, bit of drive.
You've got to be special to start off with.
Yeah.
I believe that if I personally spend another 10 hours, if I practice 25 hours a day, I may improve 3%. I'm not a natural anyway. And the current players like Ronnie O'Sullivan, of course the Australian Neil Robertson. That's a lovely shot. Look at that touch. He's just so close to everything, isn't he? And as I say, frustratingly, it just looks so easy. He's on 242 at present.
He
245.
obviously wants to beat his benchmark record here for this week, of 354, I believe.
It is 354, but
Yeah.
even by his standards, that's not a big break for him.
No, he's used to being up around the 4, 5, 6, 7 mark.
He wants the 1,000 break. He wants to get the 1,000 break in this tournament. Definitely good enough to do it.
Well, he won't get 1,000 in this session, but what happens at the end of the session? The balls just
Stay where they are.
stay where they are, yes?
Yes, and you go away and when they come back, you carry on. In other words, if you're on 886, you go away for the break. When you come back, the ball's in the same position, you carry on, and if you were to pot the ball, you'd then be on 888.
Yep.
And you
Okay.
carry on, yes. It's,
62.
we've the current gentleman who's got the 1,000 breaks, Mr. Peter Gilchrist, already confirmed he's coming. He's definitely coming to the New Zealand Open this year, and so that's a delight. So again, that's incredible. We actually, it's the funny thing about New Zealanders. People seem to like New Zealanders. So what happened there? Did he foul? He might have fouled and called a foul himself. He's walked away. And everything. He may be brushing his cue.
It's all right, people. Your internet hasn't frozen.
Yeah. No, he's gone
No.
away. Something must have annoyed him with the cue. He's just gone away and cleaned it.
Probably just
Maybe a glass of water.
Yeah.
Yep, just feel he's dehydrating. Another thing too, we're expecting to get 8 or 9 of the Indian players over here, and that's all of their greats, of course. We would expect to get at least 7 of the top 10 world-ranked players in New Zealand in September. He's having a look to see the red will spot.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Total control.
It is. It is. We are hoping too that we can get the current New Zealand Open champion there, Mr. Grant Hayward, to play in September. Or we might have a smother here.
Oh.
For those, there you go. Just bring the net back down, just simply to continue wear and tear around the black spot. He's actually thinking that's what stopped the ball from rolling that little bit further.
Yeah, I saw that just stop dead short on it,
Yeah. He's asked to have the balls cleaned. Mr. Neil Guide from Wellington It's good. Now see how he's manoeuvred that white. He's going to send that white back down again behind, off one cushion on behind the red. Manoeuvre the red so he can pot it again. This is really, really good.
He's just cracked in his triple century of 302, Matthew Bolton, at the table still.
Gee, maybe the TAB had the right idea because they wouldn't take a bet on this. This could be 1,000.
So what was the TAB bet there, Wayne? What was...
We've got the TAB taking bets in September. They wouldn't. We tried to get them interested in this, but they decided that. See how he turned that around?
Come off the top cushion and
well, that's
play the cannon.
Too.
But that means splitting him up a little bit.
What we haven't explained is that this particular table has what's called steel back cushions. Oh, nice recovery, Matt. They're steel back cushions, so you do get an extra inch or two bounce off them. And that's probably what happened there.
Oh, that's lovely played.
Yeah, it's clever.
He needs to get that white back into below the black spot now, doesn't he?
I was talking earlier to the Oceania president, Barry Jones, and he was saying the Oceanias are being played in Sydney next year.
Yes. I believe so at the Mounties Club.
Yes, apparently sort of mid-February, late February to early March. So they're going to be even earlier next year. You see what he's done there? This is to bring the white. He's played the cannon now onto the red. His yellow will play the white, send it back hopefully off one cushion, two behind the red, and he'll be able to get the cannon. Oh, I know he had to spread it. See how he still tried to bring the white over there?
And off on the red, send it up.
Yeah. He's hitting this obviously at 5 o'clock and just needs to spin it in, and he has done so. It's really high skill.
The balk line? Is it going past the balk line?
For anybody watching, that's really high skill.
Oh no, yeah, okay.
He tried to bring that from magic circle white.
What's he up to now? What's his score there? 300.
Well, if he goes in off the red, he could lose the red into the D. This is why he's spending some time on this. He may have to punch the red in and go around 2 or 3 cushions. See where he's trying to bring it, so he can play the cannon next. So we'll just see.
Oh, so he's going to go around the table. Yes,
not right around the table. He's going to come around. He's probably come a bit far, but the good news is he's got a recovery shot. Just a slightly stronger half ball and off.
Yeah.
He's got to keep the red does get the white.
Yeah.
Really did. That's good. Clever shot. Clever shot. He can work the white. He can play with the red here, and then going off the white when it suits him. Did that put him past the 350 mark?
Yes. after about half a dozen shots, he's brought them both all balls back down to the top end of the table.
Yes, he's now potted 2 reds off the black spot. That's why he's done it that way. He may play
Matthew had to
this.
indicate that he had done that, so that's
Yeah. See how he tried to put the white behind the black spot there?
Matthew's on.
Yeah. Now he play what we call a long loser, in off the red into the bottom pocket and bring the red across 2 to 3 cushions towards the left-hand middle pocket.
Oh,
he's missed a bit.
357.
Oh, he's going to be really disappointed. That was, see, because he played something in offs, he'd actually playing that shot was ugly.
357 break.
357, well, he has beaten his.
He's topped his own high score.
Yes, he
High
has.
break.
It's a clever shot, Joe. That was a clever shot. See what Joe did there? And he set that up to go in off. He'll bring the yellow out of the balk. Oh. He set the yellow up for magic circle, but unfortunately failed to get the in off. Because that happens, because you come to the table, you've been sitting there for 20 minutes, and you're cold.
You're very cold.
Yeah. I don't think Matthew's had a 147 in snooker and competition, but I know he's been well into the 140s in snooker.
Oh, he's been in the 140s.
So clearly he can pot. He's yeah.
His snooker is just as strong as, if not as billiards in it as well.
Yeah, the cross grip that he would probably try a run through an off here, which is very difficult. Watch this shot. Watch this. Bad luck, Matthew. It wasn't a gimme by any stretch, but and see if he'd have got it, he had his drop cannons working.
He's got a 500 plus lead at the moment.
How long to go?
And we've got about
21 minutes?
21 minutes to go.
Matthew won about 18 months ago. He won the Bribey Island International. 16 players from around the world were invited, and Matthew won that. The gentleman he played in the final, he sat there for that long waiting for a shot. He was scared he was going to get charged rent. Matthew got a...
What, for the chair that he was sitting in?
Yeah.
Wow.
He'd be sitting there. And he got a 650. Oh, bad luck, Joe. He got a 650, then a 302, then a 480. Just sensational stuff. And the pockets were not friendly. If you weren't good enough, they wouldn't go in. That's a lovely club, the Bribey Club. It's up in Queensland for those that don't know where it is.
Oh, yours truly, Wayne.
No, it was actually the gentleman that was going to get charged the rent was actually me. I was sitting there watching Matthew play. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yours truly.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Because when I did get an opening, I'm cold. I couldn't get the weight of the in-offs right. You just, yeah.
Matthew in the mindset though, with the billiards and the snooker and that, he's there to destroy that anybody comes up against him. And of course, that's what makes him match tough, match fit. mental tough, mental fit as well. He's been there, done that, knows all the tricks of the trade.
Here's a point too. He's actually never won a world championship.
No, not yet.
He's been runner-up several times, so it'll give you an idea what some of the other players are like. We're watching this now, and he's never actually won a world championship. But he has been runner-up twice, I've got to tell you, both the 150 up and the timed events. So obviously he's right there. And clearly that's one of his desires, to be world champion. The last Australasian, I suppose we should call it, so we can get some of the kudos, I think was Robbie Folvari. He obviously been world champion 3 times. And Bob Marshall, he was another sensational Australian player.
Well, Bob Marshall was the one that coached Matthew, wasn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yes,
so
it is.
it's
Yep.
Matthew's coach.
Yeah.
Not that Matthew needs coaching now.
I think probably just the top 4 inches now. He's and of course you got to when these coaches somehow they come across a talent like this, and they just at last they probably say to themselves, it's like having a racehorse trainer find he's got a horse that can really run. And I would say Jack Carnham, actually that sort of thing happened to a gentleman called Jack Carnham. A young fella called Mike Russell one day appeared up, and he started coaching this kid Mike Russell, and he thought he's such a talent he wouldn't charge him. And of course Mike Russell now I think has had, I'm scared to make a mistake, he up to 16 world titles. As I've said to you, even the players call Mike Russell the king. He is, and we're watching Matthew's tremendous touch here. But Mike Russell, when he gets the cannon on the ball's just brush.
Yeah.
The white just doesn't move. It just simply wobbles. For those of you watching this, I hope you're enjoying it. It's we've got a lot of English friends. The world champs this year are in Leeds, and obviously Matthew, when Matthew wins this, Matthew will get automatic invite into the New Zealand Open this year. You get an automatic invite into the world champs at Leeds in October. We want Joe to come to both as well, providing that, of course, Matthew's still got to win this, of course. So that's being held in Leeds again this year.
I think it's in Leeds for the next 5 years. I think that's their contract.
Is it the next 5? No, I
next
think
5 years.
I'm not sure on that. I know it's already been there about 3 years.
Yeah. Well, maybe the 5 years they've got it for 5 years.
That might be part of the 5 years, 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
So, are you speaking with the president of the Oceania, Gary Jones? He would like to see other countries get it. But as I advised him, well, you've only got to put your hand up, because no one else is actually putting their hand up, and that's why I think Leeds is getting most of the time.
Comes down to a financial factor as well too, Wayne, and that, it's all very well to stick your hand up, but can you stick your hand in your back pocket as well?
Oh, you do.
This is the thing.
You do.
This is just not a $2,000, $5,000 or something. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars to put on a world event, and to get sponsorship now these days. Yes, you have to go out and do the lead work. Yes, you have to go out and look for it and that. But given the times, the days, and that sort of thing, and I was just speaking with a gentleman this morning, and to run Oceania and that is a lot of dollars, because what goes on behind the scenes. It's not just the prize money, it's what goes on behind the scenes, what you have to pay out, referees, all that sort of stuff, it's their time as well. It seems like it's endless, it's like, it'd be all very well if we all had a money tree, sort of, so to speak, and that, just go pick off it when we need to, but with the sponsorship and stuff like that, it's getting very tough out there for a lot of people. But if you got the right people in the right places at the right time, in the know, can market it, yeah, great.
Exactly. Well, one of the things I can't stand is why sponsors haven't really got behind this game, because these guys are perfect. They're well mannered, they're well dressed. There's no fear of your sport being brought into disrepute because someone's got bad concussion or he's just
like on the
See, there was
interview.
another 100 break there.
Just like on the interview on TV the other night with yourself, Matthew and Morordi over in England or on the World Tour, $8 to $9 million in prize money alone.
That's
And
pounds.
Pounds.
8 to 10 million pounds.
Pounds,
prize
sorry,
money,
my
yeah.
apologies,
Yeah.
pounds. You know, convert that to Kiwi dollars, but
Well, that's 16 million New Zealand. And so there is a good living.
but they've got
being
very
made.
big sponsors over there that support
Sure.
them year in year out, and obviously it's they like the sport. We need to find someone in New Zealand that can like the sport, and it'll do something for them as well in return. You need, obviously, with sponsors, they need something in return, whatever the sport may be.
Well said, but you also need the media getting behind you. In the radio, we've got Mark Watson at present. He's brilliant. He's the one that did the New Zealand. Look at this red coming down to the black spot. Sorry, the yellow coming down to the black spot. Hasn't quite made. He's not on the red anyway. But anyway, yeah. Just Mark Watson. He's got behind the sport. He's the gentleman that did the Sky Sport commentary last year. But I'm very frustrated with the New Zealand Herald, I've got to tell you. I see them all sorts of results of what the young kids are doing, what the people are doing, and I mean, Ronnie O'Sullivan a little while ago got a 147, and he picked up £44,000. On top of that, he won £150,000 for winning it, and the Herald said nothing. I wrote the comment up. This is a nice shot.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I wrote up the piece in of the paper. Nah. And I actually sent them a nasty email saying, what's a guy got to do to get into your papers? It's lovely. Still, I see there's still 11 minutes to go. He's disappointed with that. He doesn't know what happened there. Why is he standing there and glaring at it? Well, it must be a call, a points call. Maybe the referee's miscalled it, that's all. Or it might have been a foul. So he's asked to have him spotted. No, he's playing from where they are.
Sorry?
Oh, he touched the cue ball. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, that's the good. That's the good thing about this game. You know, you look at soccer. They take dives. In our game, you commit a foul. You just tell a referee. You walk away. This is another reason why I can't believe sponsors don't really want to fall in love with us. Maybe that's our problem. We're too well behaved.
Maybe we should start taking dives and...
Well, maybe we should punch the other player.
Sorry?
Punch the other player when you lose.
No, well, take it
Or
out on the
something-
referee.
yeah,
Take it out on the
something like
referee
that,
as well too,
because-
Wayne.
And then the newspapers now would want to highlight this, and for the wrong damn reasons. We're gentlemen in this game. Make no mistake, when you get beaten this game, you hurt. I don't care who you are. Gee, that's a lovely touch. See what I mean by the lovely touches?
Very lovely touches.
But yeah. This is, by the way, look at that.
Oh, that is so nice.
I told you, didn't I?
Mm.
He's lovely. For you people watching overseas, you wouldn't have seen a lot of Joe Minici. But wasn't that a beauty?
It's just...
This has been brought to us too by Excellent Billiards. Excellent Billiards is a company that has a business, a shop. You can buy cues, obviously, pool tables. Now it's run by a husband and wife team of Nate Edwards and Marudi Kazmanchayan. And see, here's nothing people don't really understand. Marudi is New Zealand snooker champion. Marudi is also New Zealand 8-ball champion. Marudi is also New Zealand 9-ball champion and New Zealand 10-ball champion. Last year, the husband and wife team held the New Zealand 9-ball championships, or bad luck. 9-ball champion, and they were both champions at the same time, husband and wife team. I asked them, could you please give me a write-up on send to the paper? But no, they're too damn modest. And that's maybe another thing that's wrong with us. It's a tremendous sport. Nice shot, Matt. And both balls are somewhere down the bottom again.
Yeah.
There's no
Was that a bit of
shot.
luck, or was that skill, planned, or
That's planned. He's
That's
deliberately hit
planned.
that red very hard. Oh, he's lucky to get away. That looks
just
like he missed
nicked
it.
in there?
To bring it back around 3 or 4 cushions, yeah. See, now he set this up for the drop cannon, in off the white into the left, I'd imagine, going on the angle. And there's your drop cannon. Isn't that lovely? Lovely brush.
Less than 7 minutes to go now for the first session, and then I'll be heading into a lunchtime break for an hour and a half.
Here's an interesting question.
Matthew has a lead of, or current score at the moment is Matthew 866 and counting. Joe sitting on 287.
It was a lovely run through and off. If you could have any car in the world, David, what would you like?
Is preference a favourite car, or
No,
any
it doesn't-
car in the
You had all
world?
the money in the world and you could buy any car you wanted.
Any
Well-
car I would want? I'll probably just have to settle for a Mini, mate.
A Mini, well, yeah, well, they're a lovely car, of course. Well, no mess of me.
Keep
I'm,
it simply simple, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
well, there's no mess of me. I'm a Lexus man.
Yeah.
I do believe that they're the best car in the world. Of course, this is arguably, but I've been fortunate enough to own a few. And they've currently got their flagship model is the, oh, he'd be disappointed, oh, he might have had to play that. They currently have a,
Was he just mucking around there, was he?
no, I think he's frustrated by the fact that he lost the white and threw his rollies out the cot and just devastated. The Lexus people, obviously they're Toyota brand, but they're the flagship. And I have test driven a lot of cars. But the Lexus just got it all. And they're a little understated as well. Come on, Joe. See if you can take this right through to the end of the clock. Is that 5 minutes to go? 5.5 minutes to go. You now play the obviously then off the yellow and then they're going off the red, depending where they.
Red has to go up onto the blue spot now.
Yes, I think you'd be trying to put this yellow near the spot, or see the power of. Oh no, he's done it. See the power of the steel back cushions. Actually, the referee standing right in the wrong. Oh no!
Well, we got another screen we can use. We're playing it off to the right-hand pocket. Yeah.
See, he hasn't judged it. He may have a corresponding angle here.
It was looking good to go to the centre pocket, but that jaw, that near knuckle on those centre bags.
I have a friend of mine that calls flukes corresponding angles. You might think it's quite a nice name.
Corresponding angles, yes.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. You sit there and you're waiting for a shot. You finally get an opening. Because you've been sitting there and you're cold, it just makes it a bit different.
And of course, just before we go to the lunchtime break, I'll just make a quick mention. Starting tomorrow,
Yes.
we have the Ladies Oceania Championships starting. Also the Ladies 6 Reds. And of course, also on the calendar starting tomorrow for the round robin stuff is also the Men's 6 Reds. Then starting next Wednesday is the Men's Open Oceania Championships, which you'll find that Matthew Bolton here and Joe Minici are both playing in the 6 Reds and the men's snooker, so they can use their 6 Reds to get used to playing with more than 3 balls on the table, of course, and get rid of all their in-offs and cannons and winning and losing hazards, and concentrate on the snooker, getting ready for the main event. But we've got 3 ladies in the event starting tomorrow for the Ladies Championship.
He's from New Zealand.
From New Zealand, and also the 6 Reds. And of course what you mentioned before, Marudi, our current New Zealand champion for snooker. She's playing in the ladies. And we have Nita Clarkson and Agnes Kimura. We have 10 ladies vying for the title for the Oceania, which in turn there will be 8 qualifiers for the quarterfinals, and then because of the knockout stage. So that's what's coming up in the next couple of days with the Oceania event here at Auckland at Snooker World.
Actually, you brought up a good point there. In billiards, at worst, you can always have 2 balls on the table.
Yes.
Whereas in snooker, you're trying to catch up, and the balls are disappearing. You're getting behind. Whereas in billiards, at worst, you've got the 3 balls on the table. Most times, if you accidentally pop the opponent's ball, you've always got 2 balls on the table to keep scoring, even though in theory you're only allowed 15 more hazards. But that'd be the red. So that's an extra 45 points you can pick up anyway. That's a lovely brush. See that brush on the yellow?
Just a paper cut brush, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a little. Yeah.
16.
See, it's slightly different. He could have easily done in off the red there. He may play the behind the cannon. Look at that.
Down to the final minute now.
Yeah.
21.
No doubt
Can't
Joe
make
will
it
try
again.
and use this whole minute to bag a few more points. Joe's just clicked on 300 in total, and counting. Matthew's sitting on
Joe.
916.
Yeah. Left-handed. Where's Ronnie O'Sullivan when you need him?
Well, that's true.
26.
Yeah, see that Joe hasn't got the weight right there. Was hoping he's going to come back in the magic circle. But now he's got to play the ugly long and off, which at this stage he hasn't been able to get the slide right. And he hasn't again.
Oh,
What about the corresponding angle?
Is the net
The
working? Is the net?
corresponding
No, he's got it
angle's
this time. He's got that corresponding angle that you like.
It's a funny thing, you get a corresponding angle. Is that the time, is it?
It's
It is
time. I heard the
yeah.
bell.
You get a corresponding angle and you do apologise to the opponent. Well, that's another thing we do in this game that they don't in other sports. Like soccer and football, they reckon they didn't knock the ball on or they do a dive. Whereas here, you get a bit of a fluke, and you often just wave to the opponent, say sorry.
As you can see, the final session showing on your screen there, starting at 2:30 this afternoon for the final 2-hour session. So it gives you roughly about an hour and a half to go away and have your cup of toffee, go and do some work, come back.
That score is 916 to exactly 300, but
There's 30,
Joe's on a break of 32
32.
currently.
Yeah, currently.
And
So
you see
that'll
what the
carry
referee's
through.
done there, they put balls there so you don't get people come up and just sort of pick the ball up and, you keep them away, so yeah.
So they don't brush and pad the table or anything like that?
No, they
need
don't.
to do that?
No, they don't do that because that would give a different reaction. They'd have to then try and work out the naps again.
Yeah.
See, in pool, on pool tables, they don't have naps. But in there is a nap on the 6811 clock, and it does make a difference. Anyway, we'll let you people go away and have some lunch, and we'll do the same thing here. So again, with thanks to Excellence Billiards and to David Judd here, we'll just sign off and yes, just go away and have some lunch, or I suppose in England too it might be breakfast. No, it's not, it's in the middle of the evening. So we'll call it a late supper. We'll call it a late supper in England. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying it all. Yep. Thanks to everyone in England, and we look forward to seeing you obviously in October. Phil Mumford and his crew will sign off.
And we'll
Starting
see you at
time
2:30.
2:30 New Zealand time. It's 2:30 p.m. New Zealand time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.